Welcome back, everyone, to this Friday edition of Sports Call. Brett Pritchard, Randy Lee, and Andy Graham here with you till 6 o'clock, and we'll take your calls here in the next segment of our program. But we want to go to the hotline now and welcome in our guest, Jerry Palm from CBS Sports and a BCS Expert. Jerry, thanks so much for being part of the program.
How's it going?
Man, it's going great. And here in Auburn, Alabama, I've just got to ask you, I've been looking down your latest projections of bowl games. I want to start there and focus on Auburn here. You got Auburn in the Music City Bowl against Maryland. Is that where you still feel like Auburn's going to end up?
Yeah, well, that's based on losing this week, losing to Georgia, losing to Alabama. Obviously, if they're able to win any of those games, then things will change. But yeah, that's the projection I've had pretty much ever since they beat A&M. So yeah, that's obviously the Tennessee game would be a little bit of an upset. I think Auburn's a touchdown favorite, but Tennessee's been very tough at home, and I wonder if Auburn's going to go into that game a little bit overconfident.
So you feel like Tennessee's going to come away with a win?
Yeah, it's an upset, but yeah, I picked Tennessee to win this week. That's what the bowl projection's based on, and obviously, if Auburn's able to win that game, then there's no way they'll end up in the Music City Bowl.
Well, I just have to ask you, Jerry, and looking at it, and I know Tennessee has played better at home, but they've been atrocious on the road. They've been atrocious at home too, and if you look at the stat line.
When was the last time they were atrocious at home?
Well, I mean, I guess you're right there. They're not atrocious at home, but they haven't played extremely well, and they've got one SEC win.
Enough to beat South Carolina.
Yeah, they got one SEC
really
win.
Beat Georgia, except for they didn't. Except for the kid dropped the ball in the end zone. They might beat Georgia too.
Yeah, Georgia.
Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee. I watch Tennessee, and I see like Arkansas basketball. It's a very different team at home than they are on the road. They're roadkill on the road. They can't barely get off the bus on the road. But at home, they really put up a fight, and so that's why I like them this week. That's part why I like them this week. But it's like I said, it's it's an upset pick. So
sure.
Upset picks don't always work out.
Well, I'll just have to say the South Alabama thing almost didn't work out for them at home, and that was at Neyland Stadium. But that was earlier in the year. But we won't compare wins and losses. But I do want to ask you from looking at the standpoint of the stats situation. Auburn's number one in the SEC in rushing the football, and it doesn't look like Tennessee can stop anybody running the football. It's just hard to look at that and see. Again, Auburn on the road last week against Arkansas didn't have to even throw it very much. I would think Auburn would try to do the same thing.
Pretty bad. Arkansas is pretty bad, home or away. You're right. I mean, that matchup would appear certainly to favor Auburn, and we'll have to see what Tennessee can do about it. But that's what the bowl projection is based on Tennessee winning this game, and obviously if Tennessee doesn't win or Auburn wins, then it's different.
Gotcha, Jerry. And we got Jerry Palm on the phone with us here, BCS Expert from CBS Sports. Jerry, again, I've got to ask you about this Auburn team. Even regardless of how the last three games play out, obviously it would be disheartening for Auburn to lose all three. But if they were able to win one or two of those games or to sweep that, the season that Auburn is in right now is truly magical, especially how they played last year.
Oh, absolutely. If Auburn is able to, first of all, they win three games, they're going to play a fourth one because it means that they've won the division and probably would be favored to win the conference title. And, now you're talking about the Sugar Bowl. They don't even have to win all three. If they go 10-2, they're probably in the Sugar Bowl. So even if they were to, say, lose to Alabama at the end of the year, you're probably still talking about a Sugar Bowl appearance. So it's a great turnaround. Gus Malzahn has done a terrific job with this team. Especially offensively, they're moving the ball on just about everybody. I kind of wish they had been better tested to this point. I mean, I think A&M's a great team, but defensively they're horrible. The A&M plays all their games 49-42 because their defense can't stop anybody. Their offense can't be stopped by anybody. So it's almost like whoever has the ball last, but. I kind of want to see what Auburn does against a really good defense. That's probably not this week either, but maybe Georgia and especially Alabama are going to provide better tests for that offense.
Jerry, let me switch gears on you just a second. I noticed, read some of your write up on your predictions this week. I think you and I had something in common. We're both 0-2 after last night. What do you make of Oklahoma and Bob Stoops? They since 2008 when they played the national title game, it's hard to say that they've struggled because they've got they had a 12-win season, they've had 2 10-win seasons, but Oklahoma just seems soft and they just don't. They seem like they're on the downward trend here. How much longer is Bob Stoops going to be at Oklahoma?
Well, I think as long as he wants, as long as he's still winning 9, 10, 11 games. But I think that, they just don't seem to have all the pieces in place. This team is missing a quarterback. Blake Bell is fine for what he does, which is run between the tackles, but he's not consistent enough as a passer for that offense to move up and down the field on a consistent basis, and that's really what they needed last night. I mean, Baylor's defense played pretty good football. You got to give them credit, but still, Oklahoma, I don't know, did they even have a first down rushing or passing in the first half, or were they all by penalty? I mean, they just could not get past the sticks, and it was just, it was, I don't know if they had a bad game plan. I don't know if they don't have the right guys executing that game plan. Their defense deserved better than what they got last night, but when your offense is going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, eventually an offense as good as Baylor's is going to beat any defense.
Jerry, a couple more questions for you. Of course, Alabama and Florida State's your matchup in the BCS National Championship game. That can come that came closer to becoming true last night with that Oregon loss as Florida State sits up there now at number 2, and I don't see them losing again. Of course, Alabama.
I agree.
I guess Alabama has the Auburn game and then the SEC Championship game to really look forward to outside of
LSU.
Outside of LSU. That's what I was getting to. I'm not overlooking them, but I've got that game, and so they've got a little bit tougher road to hoe than Florida State, but if all holds serve, both of those teams will meet up in Pasadena.
Yeah, I think that would be a terrific game with a lot of great storylines, considering Jameis Winston's from Alabama. In fact, isn't he from Tuscaloosa? Is he from
he's not. He's not from Tuscaloosa. He's from Birmingham.
Birmingham, okay.
Yep.
So that would be a terrific matchup because Florida State's offense is really prolific, and they've got a defense to back it up. I think it would be a really entertaining football game and a great challenge for Alabama to try and beat this team because they're playing at such a high level right now.
Jerry, last thing I want to ask you, are you glad to see the BCS going away and seeing the 4-team playoff come in?
I don't really care one way or another if the BCS goes away. I just wish it wasn't being replaced by the BCS. Because that's what we're getting. This 4-team playoff is the BCS on steroids. It's really more of a bowl championship series than the bowl championship series because it's being played in a series of bowls. The 4-team playoff is not big enough to get all of the teams that are capable of winning a playoff a chance to win the playoff. 4 teams is not nearly enough, and true playoff fans are going to be frustrated by this system before we ever play a semifinal game.
Good point there, Jerry. And again, some interesting stuff. And I have to say, I hope your prediction for the Auburn Tigers it doesn't come true.
Well, yeah, you know what? Auburn's a great story. So I predict what I predict based on what I think. But Auburn's a great story. So if they end up going 11-1, 12-1, winning the SEC, I'm not going to complain because that's a great story. Absolutely.
Jerry, we appreciate you taking time out to be part of our program. We look forward to talking to you down the road, okay?
All right, thank you.
Jerry, okay, thank you. And that's Jerry Palm there with CBS Sports. BCS Expert, Andy, you and I will kind of ponder over some of the thoughts there for Jerry. He doesn't see us winning any of the last 3.
Well, obviously, the Music City Bowl, he had Texas A&M as the number 2 team in the SEC. I think he had Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl. Obviously, there was something that wasn't computing there, and he has Auburn losing to Tennessee. That makes a big difference. Auburn goes 0-3 down the stretch. That that takes a lot of luster off this season.
And no offense to South Alabama because they got a great program, but Justin did he shot that over to me I mean, that wasn't a stellar performance by Tennessee, holding on to hold South Alabama out of the end zone right there at the end of that game. And I see what he's saying. He beat, but we've all talked about South Carolina on this program. They got a lot of quit in them. If you can get South Carolina down, they can roll over. I know if Connor Shaw doesn't come off the bench against Missouri, then they lose that football game too. So, some conflicting opinions here from all of us, and but it's just hard for me to believe that Auburn's going to go up to Knoxville at 11 o'clock in the morning, where you can't pay Tennessee fans to go into the stadium and lose that football game.
You often hear coaches talk about, the team wasn't that focused, at practice or whatever. They need to get more focused. The word around the Auburn program this week was that they were not taking this game for granted at all. They were completely focused. They were dialed in. And everything, moving forward, going to Knoxville looked good. So, like I say, when you have the number 1 rushing team versus the number 14 rushing defense, that bodes well. Auburn's going to have to help Tennessee to win this game. Turnovers are both.
Yeah, you turning the football over is going to be something that we'll have to do to help keep Tennessee in it. And again, there's no reason to overlook that game, Andy, because if you overlook it, then it really doesn't matter for the next two. So everything kind of builds on what you do this week and then the next week and the next week.
You overlook this game, you end up in the Music City Bowl.
That's exactly right, according to Jerry Palm. So, well, again, we appreciate Jerry taking some time out to be on the program. We're going to take our last break here. We'll come back, we'll close the show out. Stay tuned. More of the Friday edition of Sports Call coming your way right after this.